Hey insurance, this is Tony Cañas, and today I want to talk to you about getting downsized the right way. In 2015, I was downsized from a job that I had been at for only 14 months. It hurt, but they handled it almost perfectly, and I was very thankful for that. I continue to be very thankful for that. And recently, I heard a story, not from insurance, where hundreds of people at a tech company were downsized in just a horrible, inhumane way. They received an invite to a Zoom meeting only a few minutes before the meeting was supposed to start. They logged into the Zoom meeting. When they logged in, they found a recording telling them as a group that they had been downsized. They were also informed that at the end of the 10-minute Zoom call, their devices would stop working and that they would no longer be able to log into anything, their cell phones, their computers, nothing. People who had become work friends had no way of communicating with each other unless they had exchanged personal contact information prior to this happening. Just a simply awful way to downsize. And downsizes happen, but this is the worst possible way to do it, just about the worst possible way to do it. Some weren't able to make the meeting because of the short notice, and they found themselves disconnected from everything without even knowing that they were no longer employed. So that made me realize that I should tell the story of my own downsizing because it was done right. And when done right, they're a lot less painful, basically. I was a field employee with a company car. I was a field sales manager. And I was the only member of my company who lived in Northern California. I was living in Berkeley, California. My boss, the company was based in Ohio, and my boss lived in Southern California. She emailed me on a Monday in October, inviting me to join her for dinner on Tuesday, and that she would fly up to Northern California and meet me at a restaurant. I arrived at the restaurant. I found that she was there with one of my teammates and with HR conferenced in on her phone. She informed me that because of a change in strategy by the new leadership which had just taken over our department and the company, my territory was no longer a focus and my position had been downsized. They gave me a first severance. I mean, I'd only been there for 14 months. They gave me a first severance. They gave me outplacement services and even $200 cash to get home since I no longer had a company car. I actually made a little bit of money on getting home because the Uber was like $30. So that particular downsizing, looking back on it, was very well done. Really, I only have two complaints about it. One complaint was that it happened in October. The severance that I got only got me through mid-November, at which point, it was very hard to find the job between Thanksgiving and Christmas, or between Thanksgiving and New Year's. So they put me in a little bit of a tough position where I'd only be getting unemployment and not an actual paycheck for the last like 6 or 7 weeks in the year. That was kind of awful, but whatever. It was a first severance for 14 months with the company. So it's fine. The other thing was that right as they eliminated my territory in Northern California, they created a new territory in Colorado, and they did not go out of their way to give me the option of, you know what, if you're willing to move to Colorado and take over that territory. I probably wouldn't have been able to do that. It would have been really nice if they had given me the option. I got no such option. But either way, it wasn't bad. It was really a world's better than what this poor people just went to in this tech company. Earlier in my career, I was also involved in another downsizing, and in this case, I was on the other side of the coin. I was hired as a Spanish-speaking claims adjuster in Des Moines, Iowa, because the company had closed a building in San Antonio, Texas, and most of the Spanish-speaking adjusters had decided not to move to Iowa. Shocking, I know. Who wants to shovel snow? I know. So I was hired in the Des Moines office to handle some of those claims. And I was very proud of the company because it turned out that the company had given the people in the San Antonio office a 2-year notice. And that seemed extremely generous from my perspective. And it made me really proud to be at that company. And it made me think, if someday something happens and they downsize me, they're going to give me more than ample time to find the right place for me. But I found out that there were some very negative aspects to that generosity. The best adjusters immediately left for other companies, probably at USAA since they're in San Antonio. And the worst adjusters stayed behind and milked their 2-year notice as much as they could. So basically, I ended up inheriting a lot of claims that had been abandoned by adjusters who were still in the company, but were simply not doing any work. That was just a horrible situation, and it really taught me how a downsizing can be too generous in a way that's detrimental to the customer and to your remaining employees, while still better than nothing. So I just wanted to open up the conversation that there are right ways to do a downsizing. And if you find yourself forced to downsize part of your workforce, you should do it as humanely as possible and do your best to give them the best leg up for the future as possible. And by the way, feel free to send them to Insurance Nurse. Feel free to send them to Chat with Tony. I'd love to chat with anybody who's recently been downsized in the insurance industry and kind of help you find your path. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for tuning in today.